Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am Deja B. I want to say thank you to my subscribers, and those that have been watching. Today I will be sharing the top 5 scary natural disasters. Like always, I will try to post new content 1 to 2 times a week. So, if you're a fan of creepy, scary, and history stories, I believe I have it here. With all that said, sit back, relax, and stay away from those dark corners. Thank you.
Number 5. The 2004 Indian Ocean Tsunami. In a coastal town nestled along the shores of the Indian Ocean, the sun rose on an ordinary December morning in 2004. Families reveled in the warmth of the tropical sun, fishermen set sail, and tourists lounged on the pristine beaches. Little did they know that nature was about to unleash its wrath in a way they could never imagine. That morning of December 2004, the Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami was one of the deadliest and most powerful natural disasters in recording history.
Yang sebelah sini kan iya, bangun-bangun sebelah.
This impacted multiple countries and hundreds of thousands of lives, who were not prepared for this to come. There were approximately 230,000 people who'd lost their lives that day. But what caused this disaster? It was due to the Sumatra Andaman earthquake, which was estimated to have released energy that was equivalent to the 23,000 Hiroshima-type atomic bombs, if you get the gist of it. The earthquake struck 150 miles from the coast of Sumatra Island, which is northwest of the Indonesian island group, and 31 miles below the ocean floor. This 2004 Indonesia earthquake caused a shift and change in the planet's rotation. Years later, in a movie theater halfway across the world, audiences were captivated by the 2012 The Impossible. The film depicted the harrowing true story of a family caught during the catastrophic 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami. As the waves crashed on screen, viewers gasped at the sheer devastation portrayed.
It's coming in. It's coming again.
It's coming again?
Yeah, it's coming again.
But you find her.
Yeah. You must find her.
Huh? Your way?
It's coming in a new way.
Yeah.
It's coming again. What the? Det kommer en våg igen här, för fulla muggar här nu. Shit.
As the first tremor subsided, the sea drew back, revealing a barren seabed that stretched far beyond the horizon. It was a sight that struck terror into the hearts of those who witnessed it, a chilling reminder of the impending disaster about to unfold. Then, like a scene ripped straight from the movie, a colossal wall of water rose from the depths of the ocean, towering over everything in its path. With a deafening roar, it crashed onto the shore, swallowing entire villages in its relentless embrace. Amidst the chaos, families were torn apart, and lives were shattered in an instant. The once idyllic coastline was reduced to rubble, with debris littering the landscape as far as the eye could see. In the aftermath of the devastation, survivors emerged, their tales of survival mirroring those portrayed in The Impossible. They spoke of miraculous reunions and acts of heroism that defied belief. But they also mourned the countless lives lost and the scars that would forever mar their once tranquil home. And as the credits rolled in the movie theater, audiences were left to ponder the true power of nature, and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity. Number 4. The Wrath of Galveston, a tale of survival and loss. In the bustling port city of Galveston, Texas, the year was 1900, and life bustled along the Gulf Coast with the vibrant energy of a thriving community. Ships sailed in and out of the harbor, while merchants peddled their wares along the bustling streets. But beneath the surface of this idyllic facade, a storm was brewing, one that would change the course of history and claim the lives of thousands. As September dawned, ominous clouds gathered on the horizon, signaling the approach of an impending tempest. But despite the warnings, the residents of Galveston went about their daily routines, confident in their ability to weather any storm that came their way. Little did they know, however, that this would be no ordinary storm. As the winds picked up and the skies darkened, a monster was unleashed upon the unsuspecting city, a hurricane of unprecedented ferocity that would come to be known as the Great Galveston Storm. With winds howling and rain lashing down, the people of Galveston found themselves in the midst of a nightmare.
The storm coming in, it came in right after dinner. We had our dinner and was washing the dishes, and of course it got to raining, and the men folks went out to the barn to milk. And when Papa came in with the truck, I guess he unloaded his cans or what if he had, and it got so bad the men folks came into the house, and we went up into the attic, and Papa had just had that attic sealed, and Papa tried to get the dog up the steps. He just made it up the steps, but the dog didn't make it, and of course the steps went down before he could get up. Papa got up there, but the dog didn't make it. So anyway, we went into the south part of the upstairs, and the preacher, I guess, was going to have the north part, and my oldest brother, was going to have the front part of the of the room. Anyway, Christian dress all laid out in the living room downstairs, and I guess all the kids was christened in the same dress. And so anyway, my brother and I stood on a mattress all night long with the water up to here, up to here, and holding my head up like this to keep out of that water going down. And you could hear the screeching of that house going apart. When the house was falling apart, it just the nails, I guess, tearing apart in the streets. And so anyway, well, that's the way we spent the night of the storm. The next morning we were over across the bay somewhere in the attic part of our house. The bottom part was all gone, and we were in the attic.
Houses were torn from their foundations, trees uprooted, and streets flooded as the storm surged inland with terrifying force. Amidst the chaos, families clung to each other for dear life, seeking refuge wherever they could find it. But for many, there was no escape from the relentless fury of the storm. As the waters rose higher and higher, panic gripped the city, and cries for help echoed through the wind. In the aftermath of the devastation, the true extent of the storm's wrath became painfully clear. Entire neighborhoods lay in ruins, with debris strewn across the landscape like the aftermath of a battlefield. And amidst the wreckage, the grim toll of human life became apparent, nearly 8,000 souls lost to the merciless fury of the storm. But even in the face of such unimaginable loss, the people of Galveston refused to be defeated. With characteristic resilience, they set about rebuilding their shattered city from the ground up, determined to rise from the ashes stronger than ever before. And though the scars of the Great Galveston Storm would never fully heal, they served as a poignant reminder of the awesome power of nature, and the indomitable spirit of those who call the Gulf Coast home. Number 3. Camilles Fury. In the sultry heat of late August 1969, the Gulf Coast of the United States braced itself for the arrival of Hurricane Camille. With winds gathering strength and skies darkening ominously, residents along the coast hurried to secure their homes and evacuate to safer ground. Among them was Sarah, a young woman living in a coastal town in Mississippi. As the storm bore down with relentless force, Sarah huddled with her family in their small, sturdy home, praying for safety as Camille unleashed her fury upon the land. Outside, trees thrashed wildly, and rain hammered against the windows with an unrelenting ferocity. But even the strongest of structures could not withstand the full force of Camille's wrath. With a deafening roar, the hurricane tore through the coastal landscape, ripping apart homes and uprooting trees with terrifying ease. In the midst of the chaos, Sarah's family clung to each other, their hearts pounding with fear as they waited for the storm to pass. Hours stretched into eternity as Camille raged on, leaving a trail of destruction in her wake. When the winds finally began to subside, Sarah emerged from the safety of her home to survey the damage. The once tranquil streets were now a scene of utter devastation, with debris scattered in every direction and homes reduced to splinters. But amidst the destruction, there was also a glimmer of hope. Despite the overwhelming power of the storm, Sarah and her family had survived, a testament to their strength and resilience in the face of adversity. In the days that followed, the community rallied together to rebuild what Camille had destroyed. Volunteers worked tirelessly to clear debris and restore power, while neighbors offered support and comfort to those who had lost everything. And though the scars of Hurricane Camille would linger for years to come, they served as a reminder of the indomitable spirit of those who call the Gulf Coast home, a spirit that could weather even the fiercest of storms and emerge stronger on the other side. Number 2, 1992, Hurricane Andrew. In the sultry heat of August 1992, the residents of South Florida went about their daily lives, blissfully unaware of the impending disaster lurking on the horizon. As Hurricane Andrew churned its way across the Atlantic, people heeded the warnings and boarded up their windows, hoping to ride out the storm in the safety of their sturdy home. But as the winds began to howl and the rain lashed against the walls, people knew they were facing a force unlike anything they had ever experienced. For hours, Andrew battered the coastline with unrelenting fury, tearing roofs from houses and uprooting trees with terrifying ease. Inside people's homes, families clung to each other, their hearts pounding with fear as the storm raged on outside. When the winds finally began to subside, people emerged from their homes to survey the damage. The once tranquil streets were now a scene of utter devastation, with debris scattered in every direction and homes reduced to rubble. But amidst the destruction, there was also a sense of resilience. Despite the overwhelming power of the storm, people had survived, a testament to strength and determination in the face of adversity. In the days and weeks that followed, the community came together to rebuild what Andrew had destroyed. Volunteers worked tirelessly to clear debris and restore power, while neighbors offered support and comfort to those who had lost everything. And though the scars of Hurricane Andrew would linger for years to come, they served as a reminder of the courage of those who call South Florida home, courage that could weather even the fiercest of storms and emerge stronger on the other side.
Before we continue to our number 1 scary natural disaster story, if you don't mind, please like and subscribe, and comment down below. Thank you.
Number 1, 1938 Hurricane the Long Island Express. In the waning days of summer in 1938, the residents of New England went about their daily lives, enjoying the crisp breeze that signaled the approach of fall. As the sun dipped below the horizon on September 21st, a sense of unease settled over the region. The sky darkened ominously, and a distant rumble echoed on the horizon, a harbinger of the chaos about to unfold.
Of all the signals of the sea, none turns the faces of hardy sailors more grim than the flags that spell hurricane warning. One morning late in September 1938, the dread signals swung aloft along the Florida coast. Up from the West Indies, cradle of hurricanes, moved the Terror, a pit of low atmospheric pressure into which the air rushed from all directions to form a whirling, shrieking vortex of high wind and heavy rain. Hurricane! The Coast Guard watched it warily as it moved northward, paralleling the coast. That night it was off the Carolinas. Next morning it was off Maryland and Delaware, apparently swinging harmlessly out into the Atlantic. But a high-pressure area at sea deflected the hurricane back toward land. September 21st in mid-afternoon.
Unbeknownst to them, a monster was hurtling towards them at breakneck speed. The Great New England Hurricane of 1938, also known as the Long Island Express, was a powerful Category 3 storm that would leave a trail of destruction in its wake.
In mid-afternoon, this tropical terror struck, swept over outer Long Island, swept into thickly settled, highly developed New England, struck with winds roaring 100, 150, almost 200 miles an hour. Tidal waves 30 to 40 feet high struck a section unprepared. The great wind-driven waves swallowed the sandy bulwarks of the coast, washed away the pleasant beaches of Long Island's southern shore, literally changed the coastline. Bridges joining islands to the mainland were destroyed almost instantly. Men risked almost certain death trying to swim to their isolated homes, and the Coast Guard restrained them when it could. Flicking New York City with its outer fringe, the whirling storm smashed full force across Long Island. Thousands of homes along the seashore were shattered, mansion and modest home alike. The storm tore timber from timber, leaving only tangled wreckage. Millions of dollars worth of yachts and pleasure craft were smashed or swept far up on land, damaged beyond repair. Undermined roadbeds derailed trains. Passengers were marooned, some of them drowned. Great radio stations, keys to wireless communication for the continent, went down as the tempest swung across Long Island Sound. Just back of New London's wreck-strewn waterfront, fire broke out in the night, sweeping 4 business blocks. Automobiles were crushed and twisted by falling trees and whirling timbers. Cutting a wide pathway of ruin inward from the sea, the storm piled up property damage in the hundreds of millions of dollars. The quiet dignity of colonial meeting houses was reduced to broken lumber. In one brief hour, part of the ancient beauty that was New England's heritage vanished forever. One of the structures which stood out the storm unharmed is this bathhouse at Scarborough Beach, Rhode Island, built by WPA. Even ocean-going vessels were tossed ashore by mountainous waves flying before the hurricane. Rugged buildings which had stood for decades along the stormy coast collapsed. Northward the tempest swept across Connecticut and Rhode Island, across Massachusetts, into Vermont and New Hampshire, and on to Canada. With communication cut off, the full extent of the disaster was unknown for days. The nation waited fearfully for meager bulletins bearing sad tidings. On the watersheds of New England, the storm brought new torrents to rivers already gorged after 3 days' downpour. And so flood was added to the burden of the hurricane. Sweeping down from their headwaters in the high mountains, swirling rivers rose to levels rivaling the disastrous floods of 1936, increasing the difficulty of removing refugees and of carrying food and help into the stricken area. The great dam at Holyoke was a cascade of thundering water as the torrent poured over its crest. Hartford It was one of several cities along the banks of the Connecticut River to be partially inundated by rising waters. An immediate result of the storm was the complete disruption of transportation. Bridges were washed out, roads were blocked. Beneath the water in this low-lying underpass are an automobile and the bodies of its 2 occupants who were trapped. How to get necessary food and medical supplies into the storm zone became a major question. But local relief agencies went into action at once, and the task of rescue began. Neighbor hurried to assist neighbor. Private citizens volunteered to aid police, civic agencies, and the Red Cross. All available boats were drafted into service. Family after family was rescued when rising waters threatened their brief security. True to their tradition of valiant service, the Coast Guard met the emergency with swift action. From the coastal islands, some of which were completely swept by gigantic waves, Coast Guard boats brought survivors to safety. Further inland, armies of workers from private relief agencies, from nearby WPA and NYA projects, from CCC camps, as well as men recruited from every branch of the military and naval services, erected sandbag barriers to halt the rising waters. These were temporary expedients, but elsewhere the rivers were held in check by flood control projects completed by the WPA since the Great Flood of 1936. On the Nashua River at Fitchburg and on the Connecticut River at West Springfield, these new structures proved their value beyond question. In 3 days, an army of 110,000 WPA workers had been shifted to emergency storm and flood duty. Every little man with a pick on this map represents 1,000 workers of the WPA. Manpower turning from regular public improvements and services into the breach in time of dire need. Where tracks remained to carry trains, thousands of these workers came by rail. Shock troops of disaster, someone has called them, because so many times in recent years they have provided the human sinews for great tasks of reconstruction. As the work of salvage began, sailors from Navy yards and soldiers from Army posts aided civilian police in maintaining order. Sewing rooms like this one prepared warm, dry clothes for all the needy. Every emergency unit, local and federal, swung into action to distribute food to the hungry. Trucks were commandeered to deliver food, clothing, and surplus commodities to the entire population in the hurricane district. Food centers throughout the stricken area supplied families with provisions which could not be obtained elsewhere. Convenience centers were set up for the distribution of clothes donated by the Red Cross and those made in the WPA sewing rooms. Many of these badly needed garments were shipped from the sewing rooms of neighboring states outside of the hurricane district. Warm clothing helped to check the danger of serious illness.
Well, there you have it, my friends. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Thanks.